Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, my friends, we got a lot to talk about. But before we get into what is going on the live chart, because I think there are some interesting signs there, before we get into all that good stuff, we are going to talk about what happened recently with the community. So, in case that you're not really active on Twitter, you should know that there has been quite a lot of buzz around a tweet suggesting that a possible collaboration between Quant and Twitter might be happening. Now, this tweet came from a community member and it's just his idea, and we are going to get into it in a minute. But things actually got really interesting when people noticed that Elon Musk himself may or may not have liked it. So here is what this tweet basically is saying. The user suggested that Elon Musk should integrate Quant's overledger into X payment systems. The idea is that since X is trying to become the massive everything app where you can chat, maybe trade, maybe send money, basically do every single thing, well, okay, it is going to need a payment layer that connects different blockchains very much smoothly, and that is exactly where Quant's overledger comes in. Because in this scenario, overledger is going to act as a universal connector, letting different blockchains, whether it's going to be Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, maybe a stable coins, possibly some others, basically it is going to let them talk to each other without messy integrations. The post argues that this could potentially help Twitter handle things like cross-border transfers, micropayments for creators, and instant settlements across multiple chains, all while staying very much fast, extremely cheap, and absolutely 100% compliant. In short, this tweet is saying if Twitter really wants to lead the digital payments revolution, Quant's technology could be potentially the missing piece in here. And of course, this absolutely set the community on fire. Everybody started connecting the dots, assuming that, you know what, maybe Quant is somehow working with X and there's something massive happening behind the scenes. But may I suggest, let's be actually real for a second. You see, as exciting as this sounds, I fully get it, we shouldn't really blow this out of proportion. There are two very important reasons for this. You see, number one, this may not even be true, and I know you're not really a big fan of hearing this, but please understand that social media can be a bit messy and sometimes people read too much into things. And reason number two, even if this is actually real and Elon Musk did like the tweet, well, okay, this doesn't necessarily automatically mean that there's like a confirmed partnership or collaboration. A like, you know it, it's just unfortunately a like. So yes, this is definitely an interesting moment, but we need to keep our emotions in check. It's very much easy to jump straight to the best case scenario, I fully get it, but in the crypto market, that usually ends kind of in disappointment. So, you know, why not managing our emotions at the beginning so we're not really going to have to deal with the disappointment later on. Now, let's imagine for a second and for like a very quick second that this whole thing is actually true. Let's say there is actually something happening behind the scenes that you and I don't know, and Quant and Twitter are actually working together. In that case, well, okay, we're gonna enter one of the most interesting debates in the crypto, and I would say generally in the whole markets. Does the price follow the narrative, or maybe does the narrative follow the price? Because right here, right now, Quant is sitting, in my view, in what is looks like a pitch perfect, the most beautiful technical setup for a very strong move on the upside, and this could be possibly the end of a wave 2 correction. We are going to get into that in a minute, and all of a sudden we are seeing this narrative popping up right at the same time. Is it just a coincidence, or maybe the timing is kind of too perfect to ignore in here? Either way, this situation is definitely, in my view, worth paying attention to, but again, let's just keep things in balance. It's definitely a great story, sure, but it may not necessarily be something to overhype yet. Let's stay patient, let's stay focused and see how the market is going to react. And actually, I would like to suggest pay more attention to the news side of stuff and see, are we going to have some more news about this? And maybe you are going to hear from Gilbert Verdian saying that, yeah, you know what, maybe we are working together. Otherwise, it's just a great story. Now, let's go on the live chart because, like we said, we got a lot to talk about. First things first. If you remember, the last time that we talked about QNT, if I just zoom in, excuse me, we were right around this area, and the idea was that in Quant, hopefully we are going to have a move on the downside, but that hopefully is going to be in form of a correction, and then we are going to have a massive bounce. And we said, let's pray that in this phase down in Quant, we're not really going to take this importance low, because that would really be the ideal scenario. Now, this chart that we are on is QNT USDT from Binance, and as you can see, by like a very small margin, unfortunately in this phase down, we have taken this importance low. Let's check out some other charts. For instance, the one from TradingView. Where is it? Okay, there we go. You see, have we taken the lows or not in here? Also yes, but here's the situation. You see, basically, I just like couple of QNT's chart, and one of them is actually the one from MEXC in USDT pair. Excuse me, QNT USDT, where is MEXC? There we go. So what happened in here? Let's zoom in more, and there we go. As you can see, in MEXC, it seems like by like a very small margin, in this phase down in Quant, we did not take this importance low. And remember this point, we are going to get back to this real quick. And if you remember, we talked about specifically having a move on the upside with, this was really the key point, an increase in volume. And as you can see, yup, we absolutely got our increase in volume. And what's really good for me is this, you see, after we got this move up, right in here from this candlestick moving forward in H1 time frame, it seems like that we are having a decrease in volume. However, the volume overall is really staying quite elevated. So I'm gonna argue, yes, you know what, maybe we are going to continue this move down a little bit in order to fill a very important gap that was created as a result of this move up. I think we can all agree, happening way too fast, and that gap I think belongs to H1 time frame, somewhere between, I think it was $85 to $86 right in here. So in an ideal scenario, in the next 24 hours, I want to see a move down in QNT in order to get to about these areas, generally around, let's say, mid to low 80s, and then that, my friends, is going to be the real big important moment in QNT, maybe even the most important moment so far in the last couple of years. Why is that? Before I explain to you what is going on in my mind, let me give you a couple of very important secrets about how an altcoin might go on an insane bull run, and how you can actually identify signs of starting a massive bull run kind of early. You see, if you don't really follow the crypto market overall and you just have your QNT bags, okay, that's absolutely fair enough. You should know that recently we have seen a couple of altcoins go up big time, and one of them was actually Zcash, and that one actually created a privacy narrative which caused Dash to have an insane move on the upside. And from the lows, about, I think the lowest low in Dash is somewhere around $17. We basically got something like a 8x move on the upside, which is massive. Now, if you're wondering what are these levels, these are actually resistances that I talked about back when we were around the lows in here. And if you're wondering what kind of an idiot and lunatic was talking about Dash back around the lows about $20, may I suggest check some of my members video, because we were absolutely around the lows talking about Dash, and we were saying, okay, most likely the privacy narrative is going to kick in. And also, if I just go on daily time frame, one very important reason for why I was so bullish in Dash was because of this. You see, if I just hide everything, what do you have here? Essentially, couple of lows close together, but every single time we were hitting a bit of a lower low, but we weren't really going a whole lot lower. And in weekly time frame, that actually created a 3-year bullish divergence in RSI. And I was like, yeah, you know what? There is pretty much zero chance that that divergence is going to break on the downside before having such a massive move on the upside. And this was actually one very important reason for why I actually accumulated quite a bit of Dash right around the lows. Now, let's go on 15-minute time frame, because when we talked about the privacy narrative, specifically prior to that, we definitely talked about Dash, But when we talked about the privacy narrative, we were somewhere around these areas, I think, and the idea was that, well, okay, odds are this is just a consolidation pattern, and after it's over, we are going to have another move on the upside. Now, in case that you are new to the crypto market and you really haven't been around when we had the 2021 alt season, here is how you can identify signs of a massive bull run in the altcoin market and maybe in a specific project. So let's just draw two rectangles. There we go. Okay, so let's say this is going to be our BTC chart. Okay, excuse my drawing, and this can even be QNT's chart. Again, doesn't really matter a whole lot. So here is how you can find out whether we are actually doing something different than BTC or not. You see, usually, believe it or not, we are actually getting a move on the downside in Bitcoin, and during that move, your altcoins also are going to go down big time. But in the ones that maybe are going to start a massive bull run, the moment that we are getting some sort of like a very small bounce in BTC, in that specific altcoin, we are actually seeing a rather quick recovery in order to sweep the highs. Now, followed by that, every single time that in Bitcoin, essentially we are getting some sort of a choppy consolidation pattern, in that altcoin, you're going to see a bit of a move down, but followed by like an insane jump on the upside. And in Dash, this was actually one very important reason for why I was so bullish around the lows. Let's just do this. Okay, so the blue line is actually Bitcoin's price chart. And as you can see, until around these areas in BTC, when we were having a move down, in Dash, we were also having a move on the downside. In BTC, we started consolidating in this region. Also, it was the same in Dash, but pay attention to what happened in this area. In Bitcoin, we actually got a move down. In Dash, we also got a move on the downside, but then in Bitcoin, we did recover a little bit. However, in Dash, we didn't really recover a little bit. We immediately jumped up and swept the prior high. And from this point moving forward, every single time that you saw a consolidation in Bitcoin, in Dash, essentially, we got a good move on the upside. And when we were seeing Bitcoin going down quite a bit, Dash was just consolidating a little. Maybe you could say that, I don't know, maybe we had some sort of a move on the downside, but you know, just a correction in here. And then when we were getting a bit of a short-term bounce in BTC, followed by some more chopping around in Dash, what did you see? You know it, some strong moves on the upside. Now, why is this important and why do I care about this specific sign so much? Because I think in QNT, we are, my friends, literally at that moment, and this is basically decision time for us. Let's go on QNT's chart and see what is going on. Let's go on the USDT pair, since and there we are having better volume. So let's just hide everything. Okay, so here is what's going on in my mind. If this is truly an insanely bullish setup in Quant, well, okay, first of all, this is literally the way to do it. And second, this can be, let's not even say off of this low. Let's say off of this point, 5 up into 1, correction for wave 2. And what should be next if we are on our way to have a beautiful bull run setup? You know what? Great move up into wave 3, 4, 5, which on a higher degree is going to be into this larger degree wave 3, correction for 4, another move on the upside into wave 5. Essentially, our move up in Quant in the next couple of days, let's say a week or two, has to accelerate if we are truly bullish. Now, if this scenario is happening, essentially in Quant, we are pretty close to the end of our sub wave 2 for a massive wave 3. Basically, this is like the perfect spot for an insane jump. And what are we doing in Bitcoin? Notice that in BTC, we are actually getting a bit of a move on the downside. And in Quant, if I just zoom in more, maybe it's actually best to go on 5-minute time frame, because believe it or not, we are literally in that period of time where we should just check every single sign on some lower time frames. Okay, look around. This is mid-November, and from this point moving forward, some altcoins might actually outperform BTC for quite a bit. And who knows, maybe and hopefully for that matter, Quant is going to be one of them. So let's check every single detail. Now, In BTC, recently, we got a move on the downside from this high, and in Quant, sure, we did move up a little bit, but now we are also following Bitcoin as well. Now, so far, so good. I don't really care about the current move down in Quant. Now, what really matters, in my view, is actually the next move, because I think we can all agree that nothing is going to go up or down in a straight line, right? Well, if you believe that, which I think you should, makes sense to say in Bitcoin, soon, even if we are bearish, we are going to have some sort of a bounce. And that, my friends, is like the moment of truth for QNT. In the coming bounce back that we are going to get in BTC, even if it's going to be a small one, the real question should be this. What are we going to do in Quant? Are we going to have a rather strong bounce back in order to take this important high, which in this chart from Binance is somewhere around $94, and we are going to basically continue going higher and higher. If we do this, and as Bitcoin consolidates in here, you are going to witness a great move up in QNT. Well, okay, that's pretty much going to be your confirmation suggesting, yeah, okay, you know what? We are actually starting to decouple from Bitcoin and maybe generally the whole altcoin market. Like, do not get me wrong, I do believe that the whole altcoin market is actually going to go up, but not necessarily every single altcoin. No, we talked about this subject so many times. So, you know, let's just say it again for those of you who are new viewers, because believe it or not, these days, every single time that I make new videos, I'm getting a bunch of new viewers and subscribers. So you should know that I don't really believe that all coins are going to go up. No, you should actually do your due diligence, come up with your own conclusion, and then find a solid project with a great fundamental. Then, okay, at that point, you can definitely bet that that project is going to go up. And if it doesn't, well, okay, you're just going to say to yourself, you know what? I did the best that I could. I paid very much attention to fundamentals and technicals. And if it didn't happen, that's absolutely fine, because this isn't really a one-time deal, okay? You're just going to do this continuously in every single market that you are investing. And if you do this, okay, overall, I guarantee you, you are going to end up making quite a good bit of money. So we have gone off rails a little bit, so let's just wrap it up. Okay, you see, in QNT, in my view, we really do have a big, beautiful bullish setup in here. And if you want to have an insane bull run, this is literally the way to do it, because I think we can have 5 up into 1 correction for wave 2. This can be like another 1 and a 2, but on a lower degree relative to this one. And what should be next? You know what? Great move on the upside. Now, if you want to look for some very early signs suggesting, yeah, you know what? Hopefully this scenario is happening, all eyes should be on the coming bounce up in BTC, okay? I'm not saying that we should have like a 10-15% jump in Bitcoin. No, even like a 2-3% move up in BTC, which I think is quite normal, let's be honest. Okay, even if we get that, I need you to pay full attention to what is Quant going to do in that area, okay? If we end up having a massive jump instead of just a teeny tiny consolidation in here, well, okay, that could be pretty much, I'm gonna say, the ultimate sign suggesting, yep, it is time to fly. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Quant's price charts. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.